See talk stuff to make your seeds walk. I just want to tell people just now off screen, and I'm gonna say it again for because people ain't on it. Bobby said, "Let's run it." Like we checking up, like we playing full court.
Like we finna
Let's
pull up on
run it.
somebody.
Let's run it. Ah, ah.
Oh no, hit it with the usher. Watch this. Watch this.
I did that at work. I told him I'm leaving on vacation.
um,
I said, watch me.
I'm about to hit some people up real quick in the comments and tag some people right here because this was a pretty spirited debate and whatnot in my on my page. I posted it, and I actually posted it on my page. I posted it. I just I like to stop, like, I don't like to play games, man. I like to cut straight to it. And I said, why do some people think it's the divine role of men to rule their families? And then I have people saying, well, rule or lead. I'm like, I said rule for a reason. Number one, because a lot of times ruling something is leading it. It's synonymous.
Of course.
Number two reason why I said that is because a lot of men feel like if they accept the quote unquote divine role of leading or ruling a family by being a provider or a protector, that means that disqualifies women and children from doing the same. And so it's like, because I provide and I protect you, I am the ruler. I get to make all the rules. And people act like they ain't never been in families where men make all the rules. But when I listen to like a lot of pastors, and specifically, I'm just going to be honest, TD Jakes' little sermon excerpt that I heard really sparked this discussion, because it's like some people like to use the Bible and other, quote unquote, holy books and religions as the quote unquote, no pun intended, the rule of thumb. This going on right now. The rule of thumb. Because you know where the comment rule of thumb comes from. But anyways, they think that's what goes. What it says in the holy books, no matter if those holy books are outdated and just clumsy and just not even socially scientifically accurate. So, let's just get into it. I'm just like, I'm gonna take some time, and I want to tag some more people, but I want to put the question up there: are men the divine rulers or leaders of their family? You know what I'm saying? And I want to get what y'all think first. And what's the first thing that comes to mind when I ask you that question?
I think of the caste system. I think about the caste system. I think about how kings, back hundreds of years ago, they used to look for authority from God as a way to insulate themselves from the masses in terms of any dissent or having to be challenged by the people that they ruled. Because if God put them on the throne, then who are you to challenge my authority? And right. So I think that if you use the caste system and we bring it down into the modernity, and the man says, I'm the king of this house, well, again, if he's placed there by God, then who are you, even as his wife or his partner or whatever, to challenge him? So I think that's my first thought that comes to mind. Sort of like residual effects of the caste system from prior years.
Right. What's the first thing you think about when we talk about it? And shout out to Doc. She's not here today. You know what I'm saying? But I'm sure she will, have a lot to say about this topic, and I trust that she'll tune in and whatnot. What's the first thing that comes to mind on your end?
When I think of that, to be perfectly honest with you, it kind of goes out of one ear out the other, because for me, while I don't know, maybe because it's due to my upbringing, like, yeah, I had both my parents growing up, and my dad did what he did, but my mom was also a ruler in her own right in our house. So when I hear those sort of sayings, I can't help but ask, so how's that working for you? If he's the only ruler or the leader and he's the only one who can make the decisions, how that's panning out for you, especially those of 2022. I think a lot of, course, I saw your post, and a lot of it said what I've always assumed is really was due to religion, and religion is deeply rooted. At least Abrahamic type of religions are heavily rooted in patriarchy. So that's why whenever you hear somebody ask a question similar to this, they'll just say because it just is. No, it ain't just it's that way for a reason. So what exactly is the reason? Because I don't think it's due to nature. I think us as humankind kind of came up with that concept that men are the quote unquote divine ruler or the leaders of their family. But I've been watching a lot of don't judge me. I've been watching a lot of animal discovery type of stuff, and I realized if you look at other animals, the males are not the leaders in a lot of those type of animal groups. I'm not saying we're animals, but I'm just talking about the whole animal kingdom. And I was like, but us as humans, it do through religion and whatnot, we have placed man on this type of pedestal that he is the divine ruler or leader, despite he may or may not have the leadership to do so, or may not have the qualifications to do so. So, but that's how I look at it.
I don't. Here's my take on it. My take on it is very simple. I have no problem being the provider and the protector in some instances. I have no problem with, and I think people run away from certain fundamental processes and philosophies on purpose. I feel like they intentionally ignore it. And I think that's the worst kind of ignorance. I think there's ignorance when you ignore what you actually know. And I think there's a form of ignorance that you actually just don't know it. But I think the worst kind of ignorance is ignoring what you know. And when I keep reminding people, you know what I'm saying, that complementary duality exists in the ecosystem and in the world, and they keep ignoring the fact and being disingenuous and acting like they don't know how it works and that it works perfectly good, and that they're in complementary duality in our ecosystem. There is no stronger. There is no Olympics of it. The sun is no more valuable than the earth, because we know that the earth would not exist without the sun, but the sun wouldn't exist without the earth. Like, what would be your creation? Like, when was the last time we lived on the moon? How's that working out for us? You know what I'm saying? So we can say that the sun is a ruler over the earth, but we wouldn't even have, you know what I'm saying, life and vegetation on earth if the earth wasn't conducive to it and didn't have a fiery core. So I'm like, and then we can't say like, oh, like, for instance, we can't say that and I know I do this. I do it. We can't say the rat isn't as important as like the dog, because we know we know it's true. We know that the rat and the dog or the rat and the cat are just as important, because unfortunately the rat has a function. And I hate to say it, they do. They really do. They have just as amount of a function as a cat or a dog. You know what I mean? It's just when they showed you that, you know, like that pyramid of like, what do they call it? Like the, you know, like the food chain of how everything like plays on each other. That's the ecosystem. You know what I mean? And, you know, the cow eats the grass and then we eat the cow, but then when the cow's eating the grass, it farts certain things and that becomes certain gases, and then it makes poop, and then the poop becomes fertilizer to grow other plants so you can grow more grass so the cows can eat it so we can eat the cow. I mean, and then we get milk from the cow, and then we get clothing from the cow, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's all a part of a science and a system that you can't say, oh, one's the leader and one's not. We learned that from, you know, the almost extinction of bees. Have y'all ever researched that? Have you ever looked up, like they were saying for a long time, and they probably are still saying it in certain science fields, you know what I'm saying, that in a certain amount of years, we might go without bees, and how that is going to totally disrupt our ecosystem. because bees are that important. You know what I mean? I'll look it up while someone else is talking, and maybe someone else out there can look that up and put it in the put the link inside of the comments. But there's a lot of talk about even something as we look as insignificant as bees, which isn't very insignificant if it gets in your house and you're scared to be stung. It's a big deal. That's what I think is funny, you know. And it's like something as insignificant seeming as a bee can cause a whole bunch of problems in our ecosystem. And it's the same way with the human, you know, with the human family. It's like if I'm in a relationship with a woman and they're not going to help me provide and protect for the family, and we're not going to teach those same principles in our family, but we expect the community to have collective work and responsibility. I'm like, how, Sway? How does this work? How do certain principles that we expect to be exhibited and performed and practiced, you feel me, in the community, how can we expect that to be practiced in the community if they're not practiced in the home first? I think there's a lot of data out there, social science, that actually proves what I'm talking about, that the condition of our community is a reflection of the condition of our individual households. And so it's like, quite frankly, I've had this conversation a couple times. Like, if I'm going to be in a relationship with a woman, I guess it wouldn't totally be a deal breaker if they say someone invades the house, then you're the only one getting up and you're going to only one be doing the fighting. If we go out on the town and our lives are threatened, you're the one to jump in front of the bullet or the gun, the knife. We're all not getting busy. I get it. Then every time we hear something in the room, we might as well just go through a little basic script. Okay, I might not return because I know you ain't helping out with me. Make sure you got the will and everything worked out because I know you ain't helping. Yeah. So, and every time we go out, we might as well have a plan. You're not jumping in. I get it. You're not helping. I get it. You know, I just think that it's a collective responsibility now. And I feel like when you take away certain responsibilities from people in the community and specifically in your household, that can cause problems. Because I think that because you protect and provide, and because you're going to get up in the middle of the night and fight for the entire family, then you're too many times you're indirectly saying that the person who allows you to do that, and that's the agreement, then they have disqualified themselves from any kind of leadership in the household. And I really don't think that colonialism, based on my research, was successful with when we had the plan that everyone gets busy, everyone fights. There's woman warriors, there's children warriors, there's men warriors, there's non-binary warriors. We all fighting for our village. I don't think that's how they colonized us in a lot of instances. The way they colonized us is split us up and had us debating and arguing and trying to figure out who's more superior. They broke up our complementary duality. Based on my research, they didn't conquer us by allowing us to be united, saying, hey, man, if one of us is fighting, we all fighting. If we're all providing for myself, because who takes care of me? I'm not trying to sound like, you know, Carl Thomas, what about me? But I'm trying to say, like, what about me? So when I get sick, who takes care of me? I heard someone in the comments say, well, God takes care of you. Well, it ain't going to be no mystery God. The God is going to be my family. My family's going to take care of me. And that includes men, women, children, non-binary, the elderly, all of them are going to, you know, take care of me. Because I'd be damned if I be in the family. Because man, come on, man. I was married for 12 years. There's a time when I felt alone. Well, I could be the provider and the protector, but man, that doesn't feel good to feel alone. Like you're just alone in that. No one's there to take care of you. So when I get sick, I get the flu, I get whatever, it's not the family's collective responsibility to provide for me, to protect me. I'm the most vulnerable then. It just doesn't add up to me. I know I'm going on. I know I'm just ranting at this point. My TikTok is over, but I don't know, man. What do y'all think, man? What y'all
I agree with everything you say. I agree with everything you say. That's why I was like, and that's why I was like, like if let's just say a man want to take on that role, yeah, sure, but what happens if you're not able to fulfill it one day? What if something happens? Like how you put it? Call me weird, but if I rely wholly, if I didn't have the ability to protect or provide in some shape or form, and something happens to my male partner, what the hell I'm going to do? How, especially if I got kids to worry about. If I didn't have the ability to know how to survive by protecting or providing, how exactly I'm going to get by? So I find it interesting how people made it such a power struggle or who want to be the head of household when it should be based on the circumstances. That's just my opinion. I think it should be based on what is going on at the time.
And look, and here's the deal. I'm glad you brought that up because that was a point, and I want to get to Bobby. That was the point I wanted to make too. Now, if I'm like I made the little joke. I did. I made the little joke of like, if that's the case, if I'm gonna be the protector and the provider, every time I get up and we hear a noise, then we should just go ahead and say, hey, I might not come back, you know. You know what I'm saying? But what happens if, like you said, if I die protecting the family, then who takes care of my kids? You know who does? You know, the Morningham report told us who takes care of
it does happen.
What?
I mean,
something. You know who takes care of the children?
Something did happen though.
The government.
Right. But I'm saying something did happen, like to Precious's point. Like,
yeah.
It's like you said, okay, you could take your house and multiply it times all the households, right? Okay, well, we can just change the event that gets you out of the house. What if you get arrested? You know, what if that's the reason we're having this whole conversation? Because something did happen in our community and such a large percentage of our men weren't in the house for a significant amount of time. So are the women supposed to just give up? We just won't raise our kids. I don't know. You know, I don't understand. Somebody who's in the house had to leave the house. It happened. And then on top of that, like we've talked about on the show so many times, the opportunities have changed. Women have been working, etc. And so now there's this perceived power struggle when really we should be celebrating the fact that potentially there are two people who can contribute to the home and two people who are equally positioned potentially to build children and families successfully. It's frustrating to me that this concept of having a second person who can, you know, be a teammate but also be an equal in our community is a negative. Because if we were to go back to a time where women didn't work, then all that weight was on Black men who were facing racism, etc., in the world, trying to support their families while battling racism, right? And now you're saying, well, that racism still exists, but now you have a second person who's also battling racism that can assist you in making your home financially successful and in building successful children. And our response is, that's a challenge to our authority. I don't get it, because we weren't so successful independently that we can rationalize turning down the assistance. And that part of it is probably something that is more challenging from the other side of the coin, because there's going to be some Black women who can make the claim that they did raise their children successfully without a male. That's the washer dryer.
Okay, go ahead.
But there is going to be like some Black women out there who can make a claim that they did raise children successfully without Black men. Like, they can say that. So, you know, if anything, they're going to say that's a bonus. But because it's a bonus, I'm not about to have that person telling me what to do. Totally rational response. So as a community, I just wish that we would get away from trying to choose who is the alpha and who is the beta, and be celebrating the fact, like I said, that there are multiple people now, based on economics and based on, you know, the fact that everybody can work, that can potentially support homes, and we should be celebrating that instead of fighting over who could take the lead. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. Yeah, I want to just ask the simple question. I mean, like, what happens when you take the man out the house and he's the designated leader and he's the only one qualified and trained to be the leader? It seems like that's exactly how they did it. We're going to prop the man up by divine rule to be the only ruler, the leader, the head of the household. Even the term the head of the household, why can't the woman be the head of the household too? Because last time I checked, there's a right side and the left side of the brain. There's a cerebral cortex. I don't get it. Why can't she be the left side and he be the right side? Why can't he be the right side or she be the, or vice versa? You know what I mean? Like we both the brain. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you take out the man, then what happens? It's like it's the coldest setup in the world. Because if you read the Monahan report, or how you pronounce it, it could, it could be just like the Willie Lynch letter. But the Willie Lynch letter said the same thing, pretty much. Make the man the head of the household. Then once you take him out, have everyone dependent on him. Once you take him out, then the rest of the family follows. And then the government or the oppressor becomes the man of the house. Hence the reason why they changed it from a matrilineal, format to a patrilineal. Now the person who's coming into the house raping the woman, it follows his bloodline through the surname, rather than the matrilineal bloodline through the mother. I mean, we can choose to ignore these basic facts and how all this stuff adds up and how the math is correct on any other calculator, or we can just keep using calculators that benefit, the rule of someone else over our household. Because a lot of times we're also replicating and emulating how the white man treats his women in our household. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand how ruling over a woman, making her do what you want her to do, and then teaching her to do the same to the children. Like have her abuse the children like you're abusing her, because that's what we see a lot. I don't know if y'all realize that or not. A lot of women, too many women, treat their children the same way their abusive husbands treat them or boyfriends. But yeah. I don't see how that's a flex. Would you say?
I said, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see how that's a flex. Like, why is that a flex? Why is that a flex? I treat my women, I treat our women in our community the same way the white man does. You know what I'm saying? I don't give them equal rights. I don't allow them to vote. You know what I'm saying? I don't let them have leadership, opportunities.
But would you say that's kind of where this conversation even came from? Is us trying to mimic the white community? Or trying to be like our oppressors?
Yeah. Because I piggyback on what Bobby said, because he was alluding to this quote, and I'm kind of flimsy with the quote. Maybe somebody can pull it up. What if they have TD Jakes' transcript of his sermon, but he was just basically like, we're allowing women to be too masculine. You know what I'm saying? To be too heavy-handed, and that's the problem. I'm like,
yeah, he said we're raising our women, raising our girls and women to be men, while they climbing up the corporate ladder and having nice cars. We're raising them to be mean, aggressive.
That's what he said.
Nasty, rude, etc. He was saying all the adjectives, which I find so interesting, because like, is that how you view men?
Exactly. That it didn't add up. Like this Christian religious calculator has some really funny calculations. How does that add up? So if a woman being masculine, you know what I'm saying, and being a go-getter, being aggressive is what's messing up the family, then why are we letting our men be that one-sided? That means that masculine leadership is what's messing up the family.
Look here.
Or are you trying to say, this is why I get to the point, Are you trying to, let's just cut to it. Let's just go to the spookiness. Are you saying it's the man's divine role by divinity that he gets to make that rule, that only the man gets to do that? Just say that then. Let's just say that by divinity, you know what I'm saying? By the divine design, that men make the rules. Just say that. Why not just say that? Why can't we just say that?
And basically, based off his sermon, basically he's saying that men have the right in the divine rule to be aggressive, nasty, mean, etc. So that means if you know that if that's your bit of how men are, why do you find that such a benefit to women and children?
Right. It's a weird flex. It's a religious flex.
This is why I say a lot of people kind of telling themselves. I said, if you sit and be quiet for a minute, a lot of people telling themselves about who they are and how they view the male and female. And it's interesting. And I like how Bobby brought up how we can battle racism, but we fail to battle sexism in our community. Like that's under the same umbrella. Yeah, we both dealing with racism due to the color of our skin, but we tend to play dance when it comes to sexism. That puts another stake at the women.
Yeah. Let me Bob, you want to chime in some stuff before I get to these comments real quick? Because
TD Jakes is too powerful individually to say something so casually dismissible. It would be like if a Supreme Court justice cited the law incorrectly, and it was just an obvious misnomer. Like, why say that? One, but secondly, he should know that when he made the comment, it hurts a man's ego to ask for lunch money from his woman.
Jesus.
He made that comment, and it struck with me because it was like, you can't say that in our community specifically when you know that moving forward in time, but also currently, Black women already outpace Black men financially. You know that. That's a fact. Okay? Like, if you just look at where it's going, college degrees, who makes more money, looking forward in time, that is going to happen. And so to say
that's true. Is that true for all women, or just are Black women or white women or
Black women are disproportionately finishing college?
Yeah.
Black men just a statistical number are disproportionately incarcerated. So if you look at those two things, it's going in different directions, right?
Right.
So I'm saying, if that's the case, and then you make this comment, essentially that success in Black families relies on Black men making more than Black women, then how are you saying those people are supposed to be together? How is that supposed to work? Who's left? Who's left? So the small group of people like me, essentially, the small group of Black men who are not incarcerated, have no criminal record, and they can be successful, have to be with women who aren't as successful as them.
Are you saying, wait, hold on, Bobby. Sorry to cut you out. Are you saying the majority of Black men are incarcerated? I didn't know.
No, I'm not saying the majority. I'm saying that if you look at Black men as a total, right, and you look at all these dating eligible people, blah, 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 etc., you would be left with a pool, and it wouldn't be a large pool, right? So out of the people who are left in that pool, though, they'd all have to date women who are below them socioeconomically in Jake's world.
Okay, got you.
Even though if they're supposed to date a Black woman, they're going to be above them most of the time, based on where we're headed.
It's kind of like the whole alpha male, strategy. Like, you got to be the alpha male. Like, an alpha male is not going to let a woman pack his lunch for him.
But I'm just saying, who's getting together in this scenario? What's happening?
Bobby, y'all laughing. Bobby telling
for years.
It does say that.
That's what he said. Like, so, for me, it was like, okay, well, first of all, someone made a comment here. Black men in King County make like $42,000 a year. So I got to find a Black woman who make less than $42,000 a year to be with in King County. Thanks, TD. Me and her going to do great. Me and her going to do solid as hell. because home prices is $750 and up in King County. So me and her gonna go to the bank, and I'm gonna lead our family with my 42,000, and she got her 18,000 together. We got 60K, but she do whatever I say. Okay. Bet.
I've been telling us like I
Bet.
think if we stand, see,
What is that? That's
it's the alpha male. It's the alpha male. It's the alpha male religious flex, bro.
but it's so bad. It's so bad. It doesn't make sense.
I'm speaking the truth today, but it's true.
Hey,
You know?
hey, AC Soul said the average black man in this country makes about 42K last I checked. In most family households, he can't be the only one working. Just a reality. That's true.
Yeah.
But that's what I was. That's what I was saying.
Where you living at, Mississippi? Where, you know what I'm saying, the cost of living is hella low, but you're probably not making 42K in Mississippi.
You're not. You're making 27.
Yeah. So the flex would be move to Seattle and make more money, try to buy you a house, and then move to like Mississippi or Texas. People have been doing that.
You could be king there.
Yeah, Texas is expensive
there.
now. Texas is expensive. You better have some dough down here.
You could be king there.
California moved here and jacked everything up, y'all. Sorry.
Hey, me and Real and I had a nice exchange online. We got to get him on the show. He said, if I make enough to take care of my family by myself, then I am. I'd rather have my wife open a business of her interest and being there for the kids. I don't want my kids at school, then a daycare, after school sports. If I can provide a way that my wife can be there to take care of the kids and household needs. No, I get that. But
I
we're
do
saying
that.
the same thing. No, I get that. We're saying the same thing. But she's being a provider too. That's co-leadership. She's just finding a different way in a different lane to do it than you. You're going to work for the man. You're working for someone else. She's going to work for herself. And then be able to take care of jobs, which is 2 jobs. She's actually moonlighting. She's got actually, you're putting 2 jobs on her. Now, I'm saying if and when we create community structures where both parents can work, and then we have community institutions that we trust that, you know, embody our value system that we trust to take care of our children, then that is collective responsibility that I'm talking about. Then we can put our kids in Black owned, you know, saying, value-based, you know what I'm saying, system, institutions, so we all can be co-leaders. Then the community becomes a co-leader with us too, and building our children too. So we ain't even really got to the children because, the late great, Whitney Houston said, I believe the children are our future. And she was right. She was right. I mean, I'm in the schools and I don't think we do a good job raising our children to be leaders.
I don't trust half these damn kids.
You said what?
I don't trust half these damn kids. I said I'm going to have to stay.
You know why though? You know why? Because you don't trust half these damn parents.
Exactly.
So, but listen, here's the deal. And you don't trust those dang kids because you're not investing enough in them. Because a lot of times, if you're in the education system, you spend more time with the children than the parents do. That's a fact. We got parents working multiple jobs, and we see their children more than them. I can't tell you how many times children have come to parent-student conferences or student-led conferences, and they need to find a representative from the school or a mentor or a coach to take the place of their parent.
That's
Mother
true.
or father. How many grandparents are raising their grandchildren?
A lot of them.
Come on, man. Let's really talk about it. I really do this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm seeing that a lot of parents have to admit that the school system spends more time with their children than they do. Now, if the school system is saying we don't trust some of these children, which I don't, that means that we're not doing a good job of planting that seed and nurturing that seed and investing in them for them to be the future leaders. Because that's the whole point to go to school, right? To learn the skills to make us have a better future. I know it sounds really Disney and corny, but that really is how life works. Like breaking cycles is real. We talk about that all the time. You know what I mean? Like when you have a child to be the first one to go to college, what do we say all the time? I was the first one to go to college. I broke the cycle. If you have several generations of children that never go to prison, what do you often say? I was the first person to break the cycle. Us three, none of us went to prison. That's a huge accomplishment. It's a good thing, but sometimes it's a sad thing depending on how you look at it. Because that's just like a weird flex. I didn't go to prison. That's a weird flex. That is. It is. You know what I mean? You said what?
I'm not going to comment on that one.
Why not, Bobby?
Well, because it's true that it's a weird flex, but I remember feeling that way when I went to an SPS high school graduation, and I saw how excited some people were to graduate high school. Whereas when I graduated high school, I was excited, but I knew that this was just one step along the way. And I was always going to graduate. So it never made sense to me to celebrate it as if it was like the highest accomplishment of all time. But for some people who were like homeless and stuff who graduated high school at SPS, it was that level of an accomplishment. So I think that, when somebody has a weird flex, sometimes it's like, ooh, I don't want to comment on it because it's a reflection of the situation they're coming out of. So
no,
like,
I get it. I think
but you know that.
No, I know that. And you know what? And I'm able to say it's a weird flex, and I'm not gonna go into it for a whole bunch of different reasons, because I'm a part of that family.
You could say
and I can say that, but I don't. And I don't because I think it's a weird flex. It's a weird flex for me. I didn't go to prison like such and such. I didn't go to prison like such and such. You know what I'm saying? I didn't die of HIV like such and such. That's a weird flex for me. I didn't smoke crack like such and such.
Stack of flexes.
Yeah, man. And I just think that we need to higher our standards. And I think that we should make certain accommodations and advocate and support people who fall victim to a lot of the trauma. They go to prison, they get HIV, for a lot of things. They don't go to college. I think we should support them, but that should not be the destination. That should not be it. We should be just teaching our young people, investing in them, a value system by proxy makes it just like, no, this is not where I'm going in life. This is no way. I remember one time my son said, there's only so much I can say because I don't want to have a little, his siblings getting on him. But he did say this at the end of his little diatribe after his TED talk. He said, I could be out here selling drugs. No, you couldn't. No, bro. No one even raised you like that. Maybe some weed here and there. But like, really, the kingpin, the Amen child kingpin, that was never in your design, bro.
You ain't Ghost.
I'm just saying that's a weird flex. I could be out here selling drugs. That's a perfect example. Dog, stop watching BMF. Stop watching Power, bro. Like, that's not your flex.
I'm going to hell for laughing. I'm already going.
Did you tell him you're not cut for that, boy?
I did at some point. I did, bro.
You said you're not cut for that.
I swear to God, I told him that.
You have to.
I swear I told him that.
You know what? I could say something, but someone may cut me.
Yeah, let's go to hell. We'll go to hell. We
on the bus.
we were talking, how you saying that a lot of people are not really cut out to sell drugs. It kind of makes me wonder the number of black men that's in prison for drugs is because they would have cut out for it. Like they were trying to get into that world, but they just not built for that kind of world. I'll be wondering that sometimes. Huh?
Sometimes for good reason they weren't cut out. Like they just wasn't built to hurt people like that. Like to be really, really successful at that's just another form of being a crass capitalist where I think, you know, when Bobby said that one episode, he broke it down. He said, man, if you're in for a profit, then you've already chosen up.
Yeah.
It ain't about people, it's about the profit. And
Yeah.
a lot of people think they're cut from that. But you know what I'm saying? When you got to meet your quota to sell drugs, and then you got a whole bunch of pregnant women, you know what I'm saying, in your clientele, you be like, either I sell to these people or there's going to be a drought in my household. You got to figure out if you cut for that or not.
Mm-hmm. It ain't for the weak. I know that much.
But let me ask you this, Logic. So when people talk about, and you know, I've mentioned this before, now you've said it, we talk about raising the standards in our community. I just don't think that you can raise the standards in the community if you're not willing to incorporate half of it in the planning and execution phase. So if we're going to say men are going to take the lead only, and then you say, and we've already had that lead, and then you say, but we want to improve, so we're not going to take into account anybody else's opinion. How do you do that? Because it's the inclusion of people who you have previously excluded that gets you the new ideas. That's where the innovation comes from.
Absolutely.
You're not getting innovation from minimizing the amount of free thought.
Yeah.
You get innovation from encouraging the exchange of ideas. And you can say, well, I just think that we're more logical or whatever. Now, we won't get into that where that claim is true, because it's been real emotional. People have been real emotional about this. So that's been hilarious. The irony of it has been strong.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you want a different outcome, you might have to approach it a different way. And I think that that's the biggest incentive for changing the leadership structure within the community or being open to shared leadership, is that we've seen what happens with and this is not a blast to single parents, male or female, but we've seen what happens when we anticipate or we expect single people, male or female, to raise their children without the village. We've seen it. It hasn't worked. We've seen what happened when we tried to participate in crass consumer capitalism independently without incorporating the community. It doesn't work. So if we want to see changes, then we have to incorporate more people. And in this case, it's women. And in other scenarios, it will be men. When we talk about, raising kids, it's going to be men that we have to incorporate, because traditionally in the last 50 years, we haven't been as involved. And that's another thing that men have to accept. That's what mass incarceration has done. It's changed that. We have to actually reintegrate men into our communities with raising our children. That's the reason why so many men, like Precious have suggested that they need to be the ones involved in raising boys. Well, why are you saying that? Because the default is that they haven't been there. That is the default. That is what you're saying.
That's a good point. That's a very, very classic, basic point.
So all of this to say, it has to be a joint effort. And if you're not down with it, then I don't really know what to tell you. I don't have words, because it's too basic.
And I thank you for that. Aaron Wiley said facts. Let me, I want to get to this other comment by Aaron. He says, as collective, what is our value system in regards to teaching our kids outside of love and hip hop, reality TV, etc.? Anything that takes the pressure off us as parents and community. It's just so many places I can go with that. Look, I am from the school of thought is like, I don't know why we focus on love and hip hop, all this, quote unquote, junk food, television programming. And we don't just say, okay, you can watch that, but we're going to balance it out with listening to, 80s and 90s hip hop and these specific songs and these specific artists, these specific movies, these specific books. Why does it always have to be? And I understand why it has to be, but I'm like, what I don't get is why you don't understand that we need balance. We need complementary duality. Like, here's the deal. Me just being a bibliophile, dang, I can barely say that word. Like a person who just is an avid book reader. And I understand the importance of Toni Morrison, Richard Wright, James Baldwin, but I'm also saying my life wouldn't be as enriching and my intellect wouldn't be as diverse and universal if it wasn't for Donald Goines or Iceberg Slim. You know what I mean? Because they're talking about, well, one of Iceberg Slim is talking about the pimp life. Donald Goines is talking about hardcore, you know, saying drug life on the streets. They even made a couple movies after him, after his books. Actually killed at his typewriter because they said that he was actually putting real names in his books. And the theory is that someone shot him through his window, shot him in the head at his typewriter when he was working on his newest release. What I'm saying is, I'm not into like the purification of what we listen and what we watch to a certain degree. You know what I'm saying? Of course, there's exceptions. I'm not talking about sitting your kids down and teaching them about sex by watching adult film. I'm not saying that. Cut that out. I'm saying is, if you know that they're going to come in contact with it and you know you can't sanitize everything, then you might as well teach them how to, you know, guide their way through it. Because I work in the school system. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't think your son or your daughter or, you know what I'm saying, your non-gender, non-binary child is going to learn that stuff at school, it's very rare that they're not. I'm telling you this right now.
I absolutely agree with you 1,000%.
Yep.
Like a lot of parents got mad at me when I said, if you don't think your teenager has not thought about porn at one point in time or anything about sex, I'm telling you right now, I got a village in Ethiopia to sell to you because those kids today can get into some things. Okay, like instead of looking at Bobby looking at me crazy, but it's true. Those kids do get exposed to a lot. Especially, I know today it's probably a lot easier to do it today. I'm pretty sure it's a lot easier compared to the 90s and the 2000s. But what Logic says is absolutely correct. You have to balance a lot of that. Granted, we didn't get exposed to that stuff, honestly, because my parents really didn't show it. But the thing is that you got to have a balance. And even with simple stuff, you kind of have to tell children, like, look, this top, like, here's a good example. I remember I'm a big, huge fan of horror, scary films. I've always have been as a kid. But our parents let us watch that type of stuff. But my parents always said, look here, this is just for entertainment purposes. And I don't know if I feel like I froze up, but it says this is for entertainment purposes. You cannot go out and do these things. This is simply just make believe. You can't go out and do these things. Mm-hmm. So ever since our parents told us as kids, we never processed that. We look at it purely as a movie. But fast forward 20, what year was I working there? 2012, 2013. I hear some of the parents in there say that, oh, I don't let my kid watch that type of stuff. No, I don't. They don't know how to process that. Like I was like, do you help them process it? So, oh, no, I can't do that. I just can't. I'm like, said my son want to watch it, but I'm not. I forgot what scary. I did with The Conjuring that just came out, and he wanted to go see it. But I'm like, well, and they think the kid was like maybe 10, 11, and I'm just like, well, has he seen any scary movie? No, I don't allow him to because I think it's not good for their brain. I'm like,
that's fair.
Okay. I'm like, okay. But my thing is also, like you say, they may go to a parent's other house, especially did sleepover, and may see a scary movie. Mm-hmm. So it's like you do have to teach your kids how to process certain things. If especially if they go more likely going to come in contact with it. I think parents just need to have a better conversation with that type of stuff. But I don't know. I ain't a parent. I may be talking from the side of my neck. I don't need to speak from my personal experience when it comes to that kind of stuff.
And I also think, you know, and this might sound Disney and very utopian, right? This is a perfect example. And who makes the rules of who watches what? How whoever dresses. But who though? Because I remember one time I had a conversation with one of my mentors early in my education career. And we were having a conversation about dress, you know, who should wear what, what's revealing, what's not revealing. And I said, I think that I was young and I still have very conservative views. but they're different. Me being conservative and single is different than me being conservative and married. I was conservative when it comes to clothes when it's married. So I just think that the family should keep themselves covered up. You know, if the women are covered up, the men should be covered up. I don't think people should be out here, you know what I'm saying, showing off their bodies unless, you know, they're involved in some kind of, you know, sporting event or something like that. And the reason why I said that is because for whatever reason, whether I agreed with it or not, okay, that's how I was raised to a certain degree. And it was just implied, you know, whatever, Bobby. I'm not tank top Bob like you. But listen.
Well, he ain't been tank top Bob in a long time, though. He done covered up.
And I know the person that I was married to at the time wouldn't necessarily appreciate me running around with my shirt off. Right. So, anyways, for lack of better, you know, words, you know, I told my mentor at the time, like, you know, there should be a certain kind of dress that, you know, the family should have. He asked a very good question. I think he assumed that I was going to say something, but I didn't say what he thought I was going to say. He asked a question. He said, well, who makes that decision? And I said, the family. The family. That's it. But so many times, the family doesn't make that decision. What you watch, what you wear. A lot of times, depending on the dynamics, a lot of times, if the man is the head of the household, if he's the head, the man is making the decision.
That's interesting. Because in my house, you know, my situation is a little bit unique because we adopted an 11-year-old girl. But my thing is, the conversation I had with my partner, with Deanna, was, Deanna, I would like you to be the head of supervision of Ariana's dress, because I don't even want Ariana to think that I look at her in such a way
that's powerful.
That there's potential for me. Because what you're saying when you say cover up, and I'm not suggesting that there's people on this podcast who are saying this, but as a general matter, when you tell somebody to cover up, you're implying that you're being compromised because you can't see it. You can't see it, or you don't want someone else to see it. But I don't want Ariana to ever feel like there's something that she can't wear around me. Instead, I would like Deanna to tell her what is appropriate for me and all other men to see her in. And so I just feel like if it comes from me, it's sending a message that I'm compromised. But if it's coming from Deanna, it's sending the message that this is not appropriate for all men, not just Bobby. And so I'm super conscious of that. And I think that even if Ariana was my natural daughter, I would actually just feel stronger about it. I don't actually think I would take it the other direction. So like for me, it's definitely a situation where, like you said, it's a family decision because Deanna and I spoke about it, and I basically passed the buck to her. But it's not like with our son. I can totally imagine me being like, you know, who am I to tell him? I practically nudist in my house before. You know, I can't say anything to him, you know, just like Logic can't tell his son that he should put a shirt on when he goes on a bike ride. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is.
You know, it's funny because the way I was raised by my grandmother, y'all can say whatever you want, and just shows that you're perverted and you turn everything into a sexual experience. But anyways, hey man, in my household, I will walk around like, man, if you don't come in my room unannounced, something. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I also taught my children that a naked body doesn't mean that it's sexual. And I think that comes down to value systems too. And I think that also comes down to a very European and an oppressive, you know, value system, when we think that just because someone has their clothes off, there's something sexually connected to it. Like, that's just weird. And we can tell that there's a difference. And like, if you watch National Geographic, it's very common that you see indigenous women, black and brown women, running around with their shirts off.
Correct.
It's because they're not supposed to be seen as sexual objects. They're savages. They're animals. Just like, you know, turning a female dog on his back and seeing the nipples on a dog. There's nothing sexual about that. That's how I take it. That's how we look at indigenous people. You know what I'm saying? And I think that we incorporate and inherit a lot of this stuff. Like a naked body automatically means there's something perverted or wrong with it. Like, if that's the case, I wouldn't have went to the locker rooms with my sons at Bally's and LA Fitness, and we weren't in the shower together, but we were naked. Like, and I'm naked with other men. Like, are we serious right now? Like, that's just weird to me. Like, makes me think, like, what's wrong? Like, if you're criticizing me and think something's sexual, you know what I'm saying? Nowadays, you know what I'm saying? It just feels awkward now that I'm older, you know what I'm saying?
I think as a society, period, sexualize even the most innocent things, period. I think we have a knack for putting over sexuality. Because you're right, shoot. Even when I be visiting my parents, sometimes I do be butt ass naked sometimes. Shoot, it be hot because my parents keep the place too damn hot for me. So sometimes I will. But my parents be in the room anyway. So, and a lot of time my dad don't be home half the time. So shoot, it just be me and my mom. And yeah, you're absolutely correct. I do be butt naked all the time. But hey, it's just her. And she'll say, put on no clothes. She was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I also think it's kind of weird when people like sexualize breastfeeding. Like, I think that's weird too. I think that's another episode we should really talk about.
Oh,
I mean,
that's gonna be a hot topic, right? That's a hot topic right there.
Just because adult film fetishizes, you know what I'm saying, has a category for pregnant women, you know, and stuff like that, doesn't mean that that should be our collective outlook. I'm just being real. It just gets weird, man. It just making everything sexual just gets weird. And it's just like, and it's just like, it makes me wonder, like, when the males have this divine order to be the leaders and the head of the household, and then they get to dictate what women wear, I often wonder, are we telling women what to wear because we want to punish them how men sexualize them?
Repeat that. I'm sorry, Bobby coughing kind of.
I wonder if the man is the head of the household by divine design. Like it's just his divine role to be the head of the household. So he makes rules and says a woman has to dress a certain way to cover themselves up. What if she doesn't want to cover herself up like that and is seen as a form of punishment, and you're punishing her based on how you sexualize women, not for anything that she's doing? Now, that might not be the case all the time. She may be sexualizing herself, you know what I'm saying, sometimes, and trying to get unnecessary attention. That happens too. But I'm saying, why is it just your rule and not the family's rule?
That's a very good question. And you know what? That just brings up the point of, I forgot that African lady name. I talked about it on my post. I posted on my page, and me and Jason, he a cool dude. Me and him have exchanged thoughts about that. And the lady basically saying that women who dress very overly sexual is putting their men in danger when they go out. And
I've heard that before. I've heard that before.
And I just like, because I guess a guy may try to, let's say, try to make a pass to that woman, and that man and her partner gets mad, and it comes, I guess, a whole situation. But my thing is this: that's why women shouldn't dress like that. I said, so a man disrespects a couple, but it's the woman's fault.
There it is. See,
like,
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another angle and another blind spot that someone has. So if you're the head of the household, you're the provider, you're the protector at all times. It's like, now it's like, if someone disrespects, you know what I'm saying, the person that you're in a relationship with, you know what I'm saying, now it's like, it's not both of y'all responsibility to check that. I mean, I don't know. I know that I mean, it might not happen as often, but I know there's women that are fully covered up that get sexually assaulted.
Look here.
And get disrespected.
I have plenty.
Definitely in other countries, that's for sure.
Oh man, I don't want to bring those ladies on this type of show because the type of culture they're in to get on this type of panel is probably not wise for them. Because they like in the Middle East where they culture, that type of stuff is really like at a high level. So I don't want to put those ladies on this type of panel for something public like this. But yes, absolutely. And with that type of particular, I could go all day on. I had to tell the guy I was talking to, I totally disagree with his concept. I totally disagree.
That is an interesting comment. Like it's the woman you're in a relationship with. It's their fault because someone disrespected her. That's deep.
Yes, that's what I was like. So that's what that's why I was asking the guy when it was in a different group. I said, so you mean to tell me that piece of fabric invokes disrespect? Fabric. So you mean to tell me if I wore a turtleneck today and tomorrow I wear something low cut, the respect you have for me changes?
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
You know the reason why I know men know this? You know why? The amount of Bobby, what are you doing in the comments, bro? What are you doing, man? Could you stop? You're being a distraction. I'm about to kick you out of the classroom.
What Bobby doing?
Maybe you can control your eyes. Don't. We're on topic now. You're showing yourself.
Well, I'm just saying, I can tell that you're being a distraction. You're being quite naughty because you're over there smiling and stuff. Which
I was excited for what you were going to say. Go ahead.
I got you. You know how I know, Precious and Bobby, that men know how to behave themselves even when women are dressed a certain way? Because a lot of them abide by the rules of strip clubs. A lot of my friends go to strip clubs. Not me, because that could be a different subject, because I just don't want to pay someone to act like they like me and take their clothes off. Quite frankly, I ain't got to pay no one to take their clothes off. But listen, they tell me that there's rules. There's rules to that, and they get followed. The rules get followed for the most hand, or they get beat up. They get thrown out. You know what I'm saying? So we know how to do it. You know what I mean? We know how to do it when we go to the beach too, for the most part. I've been all over the world to beaches and seen women just, scantily clad and half naked. You know how to do it. You do.
You do. You're right, though.
he said, Logic, behave in a strip club and get brutalized. Is that from personal experience, Jeffrey? I just want to know. Inquiry minds want to know. Jeffrey also said that's her option to marry that man. As a 26-year married guy, I venture out to say that women and men mostly know who they're getting with at a high rate.
He has more. No, go ahead.
And I don't tell my wife how to dress because I don't have to. That's who I married, a woman who understands boundaries and what she perceives to be decency. Okay, yeah. I mean, because it works for your relationship.
Correct.
But I know plenty of women that dress, you know what I'm saying, provocatively.
Provocatively.
Yeah, or to get attention, and they want you to see all their curves, and they're wonderful human beings. They're just going out. That's how they dress to go out.
And I'm glad we're talking about this. I know we probably maybe get off each other, but I want to say something. This is for everybody, especially men. I'm gonna need y'all to stop trying to associate clothing with someone's self-esteem. Self-esteem got nothing to do with clothing at all. Self-esteem is truly how one perceives themselves, their own opinion of themselves. No one can make that sort of judgment but themselves. That's why it's called self.
Yeah, right. I do agree. I do think that some people do dress a certain way because they have self-esteem problems, but it's not for me to say it. It's for them to say it.
Exactly.
But to me, in recent times, if I was to jump on Instagram right now and find somebody who was scantily clad, if I was to find somebody, the most times that comment, the highest frequency it would be made with respect to self-esteem, it would be by other females. Tearing down.
That's on top of women too.
Yeah, I don't know that that's something we have a monopoly on anymore.
I mean, the point I'm getting at is the woman who is that's dressed, let's say modest, has the same type of self-esteem issues as that woman. As that woman who is showing skin, just like the woman who dressed modest can have a good self-esteem, and the woman who's not can have self-esteem issues. I think we need to stop thinking women is one track human being where we're very complex.
Well, yeah, no, I get it. I just don't think that. I mean, I think to your point, self-esteem is such an internal mechanism. There's no way. There's just no way to know.
I think we just need to let people speak on their self-esteem, like Precious
Absolutely.
said. I'll speak from my self-esteem. I know that it will stroke my ego based on how I dress. So it is connected to my self-esteem. Yeah.
Maybe.
It is. I know. That's why, I try to, I do get manicured, manscaped and all that stuff and dress nice, you know what I'm saying? Get this all nice and whatever and dress a certain way. Might have my shirt off every now and again to show the work because I do want my ego stroked. I mean, I'm just going to be keeping real with you. I'm honest, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to speak on anybody else but me.
Right.
I do go to work looking a certain way because it supports my self-esteem.
And what I find so funny is that the only time you normally would see a woman dressing overly sexual usually is at an occasion like the club.
Right.
I don't know. Do y'all see? I don't see women always dressing quote unquote sexual. At least not where I go out. I don't, and that's in day and night. I don't see it unless I'm going down where it's a particular occasion, like a party or a club. Other than that, the average woman is not dressed quote unquote overtly sexual. But for some people, overseas just having a little cleavage and shit. I'm a busty woman. You gonna see?
Yeah, we done went all over the place on this episode.
Yeah, we have. Exactly.
I agree with Aaron and Facebook user. When they make Aaron said it depends on the environment. A controlled environment makes all the difference too. Like, it's an environment to be dressed like that. That's key. And then, I agree with the comment. I'm gonna do both: be fully covered to low coverage. Depends on the occasion.
It is based on the occasion. That's why I find that sort of scenario that I saw kind of strange. I'm like, most women are not overly dressing overly sexual unless she's in a particular profession. But even then, who are we to determine somebody's self-esteem? Because it damn sure ain't me.
Right.
Or anybody else.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining us a little bit late, the reason why we got to this is like, who makes those rules? Let's bring it back. We were originally talking about basically, is Black men as the divine ruler or leader of the family working out for our community? You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people in my comments, a lot could be 2 or 3 or more, right? That were saying the reason why, it makes sense. And the reason why some people say that the man as a leader is because it says it in religious scriptures, like in the Bible and the Torah. Even one brother said it says it in Yoruba. Never knew that man is supposed to be the head of that. You know what I'm saying? I thought, the divine omnipotent being in Yoruba or Ifa is actually a non-binary being. You know what I'm saying? So, but hey, and I know that Yoruba and Ifa got Oshun, which is comes in the form of a woman Orisha, but they also have Shango, and they also have Ogun, which comes in the form of a male or a man, Orisha. But they're not bound to those gender roles, in the principles of Ifa and Yoruba. So
I just wanted to make this point about confidence because I was reminded of this, and I have friends who watch this, and I'll get made fun of in the group chat if I don't correct this error. So, Logic, you were talking about strip clubs, and you were talking about how you don't go there for the lies.
Nope.
And I'm here to tell you that we were going for the lies. I'm here to tell you we were absolutely going for the lies. And it's so funny because it was 100% about self-esteem. Because for anybody who has something negative to say about those women, a good percentage of them were going because they wanted to feel like a woman who looks like that would be interested in them, hypothetically. Mm-hmm. Not even that it could actually happen, but that in some alternate universe, this person would actually be interested in me. And that's the dopamine hit. Almost more because, you know, like they could stay at home and watch porn, but they want to have that interaction. And if I could go back to, you know, just look, if I was to look at my text messages right now and I could find the date the last time that my friends went, there would be a text from one of them that says, man, this girl lied to me. It was great. Like that's a thing. There's so many people who have low confidence, who don't feel like they could get somebody that they would actually be attracted to. And they're going to these establishments to see women that they would shame in any other circumstance, just to feel like they would actually have a chance with them. And that's one of the sicker things that I see from people, because it's like, you actually worship this person. You can't shame them. They don't have low self-esteem. You have low self-esteem. That's why
they both have low self-esteem, and they're playing on both. Yeah, maybe. That's a very good point. I never looked at it like that. They're both playing on their self-esteem.
Oh yeah, it's just interesting.
Like, you know, if an exotic dancer goes out there and she ain't getting no bread,
oh, that's gonna hurt.
Yeah, that's gonna help.
That's gonna hurt.
I gotta work on my routine.
I would be hurt. Don't let me be naked out there and get no love.
I watched P-Valley. Thank you very much.
I need to watch the show. People keep talking about it. I need to hop on it. But yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, and I just think, you know, I want to I just want to ask this question before we go to the
plan of action.
Plan of action. Do y'all think that are men being the divine leader of the family, is that too much pressure for men?
I'm not a man, so I can't really question. I don't think I could comment on that. So y'all have to leave that to y'all.
Just by observation, what do you think? I mean, because even a scientist ain't got to be a rat to make an observation of how, you know what I'm saying, certain circumstances and environments impact him based on your observation. I mean, you can still say pass too. You can still say pass.
Well, let me just, it'll probably, I don't know. You say it will be too much pressure?
Yeah.
I don't know. How is the pressure of him taking care of himself? Because I look at it, if he can take care of himself and he's able to maintain himself, would him taking care of family would be too much of a stretch for him?
Shoot, I didn't see too many black men forfeit taking care of themselves as long as they can overcompensate for taking care of someone else, especially telling them what to do. I know another man that does that a lot. I mean, because shoot, these dang slave masters were looking way worse than the people that they were ruling. It's like, you don't take the time to take care of yourself. You need to worry about yourself, because y'all look horrible. Like George Washington did not look as good as his people he enslaved. I'm telling you that right now. And we know this because those were not wooden teeth; those were actually the teeth of an enslaved.
You saying you employing all those people? You got nothing to brush your teeth? That what you're saying?
Exactly. No, our dog, like you have no hygiene. What's up with your oral hygiene, boss? Why you ain't got no teeth? Maybe if you took the time and stopped focusing on enslaving other people, you wouldn't have to steal their teeth. DAFUQ, you know. I think it's too much pressure, man. I do. And I think this goes to the broader collective, in all seriousness, of Black people. I think there's too much pressure to be like regal and supreme. We need to find some kind of, I'm not saying everyone gets a trophy or a certificate, you know, and everyone wins, but we got to find some kind of success and be a mediocre. I think it's too much pressure for a man to be the provider and protector of his house when they don't have the skill set or the resources to do so. And they breaking their neck, hurting other people just to prove that they can really do a job that they can't. Sometimes if you release the pressure, they'd probably be a lot better human beings. They might not sell drugs. They might not be pimps. They may not abuse people. I don't know. I may be wrong. They might not join, you know what I'm saying, a street family, which they can be hard by proxy and by affiliation. You're really not built like that, but all your comrades are that you hang around with.
Well, and
but
the
you
thing about being,
but you a blood, but you a Crip, but you a BGD. So you ain't really hard, but the name and you by affiliation is. So you running around doing hurtful things when you're not even built like that. We kind of had a variation of this. That's why I think there's a lot of pressure to be an alpha man and an alpha and to be a leader. And I'm with you, Precious. You added a new fold to the whole argument. Just be a leader yourself first.
yeah. And another thing I want to add to that is being a leader of any type of leader come with a level of responsibility and accountability. It comes with a high level of it. So, and that's why I say, that's why I want to ask, are you trying to be a leader or are you trying to be a dictator? Because genuine leadership comes with a level of empathy you have to have, and a lot of people don't have that. So, yeah, it comes with a level of accountability. Because being a leader, you hold yourself accountable first, and everything else comes second. So if you can't hold yourself accountable for yourself, just solely as you, how are you going to hold yourself accountable when it comes to taking care of family?
Yeah.
That kind of plays in the feel of it. So go ahead.
Have you seen these prank videos? I want to get to Bobby real quick, and then we get to the plan of action. Have you seen these? Like, they're supposed to be prank videos. I think some of them are staged. Where dude, he kind of walks up on, old girl. He's kind of looking like kind of average, the way he's dressed and everything. She's turning him down, won't give him the number, right? Then he turns around, you feel me? Goes to the Maserati or the Corvette or something. Then she's like, oh, I want to know what your number is. I thought you didn't want my number. Oh, now you see him in a car. You're just a gold digger. Da-da-da-da. Now, this guy right here, follow me where I'm going, thinks he's a protector and a provider now.
Because he got a nice ass car.
Because he didn't prove to this woman that he got a nice car. Yeah, they might be staged, but you know what though, Jeffrey? Word is bond. There are people that exist with that same philosophy, and they live their lives based on that value system. They live their lives like, I can't really, I look like Tory Lanez. She's like Megan Thee Stallion. You know what I'm saying? She's really dope, but you know what I mean? If I can just acquire enough hits, if I can acquire enough, cash, maybe if I can allegedly shoot her in the foot, I can be the leader. No, but I just think that we compensate and we overcompensate, when there's the pressure, to be leaders that we're not ready for. But yeah, we can jump to the plan of action right now. AC Soul said most of those are staged. I figured they are, but some of them are mimicking actual life. Absolutely.
True.
But anyways, let's get to the plan of action. What you think is the plan of action? Let's get into it.
For those who believe that who believes in the concept that the man is the divine leader, all I can ask is how you think that has worked out for us historically. Since it all began up to now, how you feel that's been working out for you in the community? That's the kind of question people have to ask themselves honestly, because what the same people do, they keep doing the same thing over and over again, think they're going to get a different outcome. Mm-hmm. So if you think being a man in the household is the answer to everything,
yeah.
But my thing is, obviously that has been the case, but it still hasn't really worked out. So right. Obviously, what's the purpose of the man and the woman getting together then? Because obviously, it's not for you to be the ruler of the family. It can't really be about money. You can say it's the kids, but hey, a lot of us have kids without the marriage. So what exactly are we doing in this union? And I think those are questions that people have to really, really have to ask themselves. As the man was working perfectly fine. Says who?
It might be a geographical thing. It might be a geographic thing. It might be. I don't know.
Maybe.
In his demographic where he's at, it might have worked. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah. Bobby, what you think the plan of action is? Or you need to take a couple more bites? I mean, you're over there living it up.
I mean, I'm just being the man of the house over here, eating good, but I had to cook the meal, and that's what I'm going to talk about. If you want to be the man of the house, then do all the man shit, but also find a partner who wants to give you that power. That's still group cooperation. That's a choice that somebody needs to make. It needs to be something that both parties agree to. Because if you want to be the president, you got to be elected, Holmes. And it's the same scenario. You want to get elected, you better find somebody who'll vote for that ass. So
you better go through the electoral college.
You better go through it. You better get elected legitimately. You know, don't have Russia voting for you because Russia ain't in your house. So all I'm saying is, if that's what you want, find somebody who's down for it. But for the rest of us as a community, I think that we need better medicine than that. I think we need stronger medicine than that. I think we need to accept group cooperation and group leadership in our homes and in our larger community. Let's add to the pile. Let's not subtract from it. If there's one idea from a man, a second idea from a woman, or a non-gender conforming person, is fine. It's not a bad thing to have more in this instance. That's more financial support for the children in our homes. That's more experiences and anecdotes that go to giving our children reasons why they do this, reasons why they do that. As a man, I only have my own life experiences, but Deanna adds a whole other life for Braylon to learn from. If I tell Deanna, hey, I'm gonna do this on my own, Braylon's only getting half of the lived experience in our house. And all we do in this community is ask for there to be 2 lived experiences in our home. So why are we requesting that if we're just going to cut one of them out in the decision making? It doesn't make sense. We got to keep that energy. If we want 2-parent homes, then let's have 2 parents, peers, 2 people who respect each other enough to ask the other person, what do you think? Let's work on that. That's going to be my plan of action. But like I said, if you want to be the man, you better be doing all that shit too. You better be doing all that man shit. That's everything. You better be handling all the responsibility, and you better do it well. Because it doesn't do anybody good for you to be the man of the house and not be good at it.
Yeah.
And he said what he said, y'all.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Man, that was good. I think, to summarize it, I think that my plan of action for everybody is figure out what the wants and needs and are in your household, and then figure out the strengths and areas of growth of each member in it, and start divvying up responsibilities. It's that simple to me. And maybe it's that simple to me for the most part. I'm not even going to front. It's that simple to me just being a high school principal. That's how you run a community. Like, I don't want to run the budget. I don't. But also the person who's running the budget and who's the custodian, I don't want them doing conflict mediation and observing teachers either. Period. Like, you don't want me doing your oil change, boo. You don't. Because I don't know what I'm doing. You can say that's man stuff all you want. I have no problem telling you, you can go ahead and say that's my job to do that. And I'll be like, yep, my job is to pay $60 to $70 for someone to do it for me. Absolutely. Yeah. And if you want the washing machine fixed, same game plan. Yep. But I can definitely buy it. Now, if you're short on some money, I know how to make money. And I definitely know how to spend it. But if you're better at helping me save it, let's do it. Because it's all about strengths and areas of growth. It's not even about weaknesses. It's about areas of growth. and it's about complementary duality. You know what I'm saying? And it's staying in your role, play your role. God forbid if I ever get with a woman who can fight just as good as me. You know what I'm saying?
In a physical sense, or
physical sense, they exist. They exist. Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure they exist.
Clarissa, you need to list up what's her name, Carissa Fields.
I heard that name.
Clarissa Shields, Detroit.
Yeah. I've heard of that name.
If I ever get in a relationship, I'd be damned if she say, "Man, I ain't helping you." You better.
Your ass, boy.
No, she better. No, let's be clear. No, and you know what? I wouldn't even argue with her about that.
She with my ass too.
Yeah, we're not even going to argue about that, boo. What we are going to argue about if you're going to help me, because I'm gonna square up. But I'll be damned if I be with you if you ain't gonna help me. You just gonna sit on those skills.
I'm standing behind Clarissa Shields. You one in front.
No, we go shoulder to shoulder. We might go back to back. I'm not gonna go out like that. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is, another thing is find out what the wants and needs of the family and find out the strengths in areas of growth and then start divvying up responsibilities. And here's my last thing. When it comes to defense, in all seriousness, if I got with a woman, you feel me, and she's a gun owner and she know how to, she's nice with that. I'm not a gun person. But I grew up on guns. You know what I'm saying? And I got the criminal record that goes along with obtaining one, right? I got it, right? I will switch over and be like, I guess we both gonna have to figure out how to use a gun. I'm not gonna have you be the only one to learn how to use a gun. I'm gonna join you in that partnership and that co-leadership. I'm gonna get over my, because I was shot at a couple of times. I never addressed that trauma. Okay, I'm gonna go back to firing a gun, and then someone come up in here, we gonna get busy. Period. Be willing to take a woman's lead, man. And not just the woman's lead when it has to deal with like cooking and cleaning
domestic stuff,
grocery shopping. Come on, man. Like, we need to learn all those skills because they saying that men are the most single out of all of the genders. So I think it's best for us to learn how to do it ourselves.
Oh, I wanted to talk about that fucking article from People in Lost State. The podcast been quiet since that article been out. Let me just say, I don't see him much on my TikTok or much anymore. I'm like, damn, what happened? And I remember, it's probably that damn article, but I ain't heard nobody talking about it. At least on the male podcast, I have not heard nobody talk about it. Not too many of them, at least.
Right. Hey, we about to tune out. We've been out here for almost an hour and a half. I want to invite people, first 5 people, to hit my inbox. If y'all want to come to the Camp Long, we're having a griot day party experience at Camp Long this Sunday, 12 noon, food, drinks, all that, live DJ with Vitamin D, you know what I'm saying? Special guest also, Tiffany Wilson. We're going to have a great day party. We're going to be responsible. We're going to be safe. We're going to have some alcoholic drinks and whatnot. It's 21 and over. Hit my inbox. First 5 people to hit my inbox. I'm going to get you a free pass in there to hang out with us. So check us out August 28th, Camp Long, 12 noon. And we out. See you next week. Rack, rack.